afternoon, everybody. We'll start the meeting in just a minute. Are you all ready, Secretary? Okay, great. Okay. Today is February 19th, 2019. I'd like to call to order the meeting of the St. Augustine Port, Waterway, and Beach District. Please all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Secretary, please call the roll.
Commissioner Benjamin?
Here.
Commissioner Rivers?
Here.
Commissioner Way? He is absent. He is out of town. Commissioner Brown?
Here.
Commissioner Flowers? Here.
Secretary Treasurer report.
All right, this is as of January 31st, the end of the month, last month, of the city police law enforcement overtime. Of the 8,000 committed, we spent $1,120. Of the sheriff's department overtime, of the 20,000 we committed, we spent $2,045. The derelict boats has not changed. The 14,000 we committed, 9,000 has been spent. The regatta lights, we agreed to pay $3,000. I just paid them the $3,000 that we agreed to pay. We had a bill from Summerhaven of $189,519 needed to be paid to Turnbull. We had $151,000 approximately left in the Summerhaven account, which put a shortage of $33,520, which the port had to cover.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear. Who did you say needed to be paid on that?
Turnbull.
Turnbull, is that the dredge operator?
Yes.
Okay.
So we are getting our money back from
DEP.
DEP. So DEP is giving us the money back.
Okay.
So we just have to submit all the checks, copies of the checks that we've written previously, and this one, and they will submit a check to the port, and whatever they submit to, whatever is owed to the port, the $33,000 will automatically go to the port, and then the balance goes back into the Summerhaven account, because it is Summerhaven's money.
Okay.
In the State Board of Administration, we have $22,480. In the Center State Bank operating account, we have $302,756. I moved $150,000 out of the operating account so we can get some interest on that money and moved it to the money market. So in the money market account, there's now $1,828,550, because now we'll collect, because that's the only one that collects interest. So until we need the funds, then I put it in there.
How much are we making on that? Do you just recall?
Oh, I don't know exactly. I have to look at the bank statement. and
Tiny
see
little
what they're
bit?
paying.
Okay.
But I can't just move money out of there. I can't just, it has to be in a specific fund for the government. And of our taxes that we budgeted, $526,000 for our tax revenue, we have received to date $372,000. And so our balance that's left is $104,000 that's due to the port. Which actually, yeah, $154,000.
154.
Yeah,
Okay.
which I'm surprised we haven't gotten yet.
Okay. Any questions or anything with regard to the Secretary's report? Nope. Okay. Moving right along. Okay. Approval of the minutes. The regular meeting held January 18th, 2019. Any additions, corrections? Andy? No. Okay. I make a motion that we approve the minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Okay, done. Okay. Engineering report.
I have two items regarding Summerhaven. First, for the last 2 years, the Port District has contracted the U.S. Department of Agriculture to conduct the predator control out at the least harm mitigation site. This is the last summer we have to do that. So I have a new contract from the USDA that requires Commissioner Benjamin's signature. The money is budgeted, It's going to come out of the FDEP grant. So it's a not-to-exceed contract of $10,211. So it's
I'm sorry,
required
what
by-
was that for? I didn't get,
It's the FWC permit we have requires us to conduct predator control monitoring out at the MSA 233 least term nesting mitigation site.
when you say predator control, you're talking about?
Avian predators, there's ground predators, anything that'll eat least terns or their eggs.
Oh, okay. Okay.
to
It's
ensure
part of
the-
what's going on down there at Matanzas and,
Yeah, so to ensure or help the success of that mitigation site, the Port District has contracted the USDA to do that every summer,
Okay.
the last 2 years. So I don't know if that needs your approval, or if I can just get your signature afterwards.
Fine, yeah.
Okay. The other item, I've been talking with St. Johns County, Joe Brawley in particular, about dredging the south end of the Summerhaven River. The county, ever since Matthew, they've been working with FEMA to try to get money to rebuild the road down there, and they're pursuing dredging the south end of the Summerhaven River, the part that's out of our project area, as a sand source for the dune and road that they want to build down there. The easiest way for them to go about this would be for the Port District to modify their current permit to extend the dredging template down through the south end of the river. The county would pay for any work that's required to do that. So there wouldn't be any financial obligation from the Port District, and no other legal liability for you either if you got a permit modification. So I would just want to request your support in,
so the county wants to dredge the south end of Summerhaven at their dime?
they are considering that option and would like to do that. They are going to be tied into FEMA requirements, going with the low-cost alternative. So dredging the river happens to be the low-cost alternative. I think they can move forward with that. If trucking from an upland source ends up being the low-cost alternative for them, they may be forced into doing that option. But they are considering using the south end of the river, dredging that out, and that'll help our project as well. So
It gives us a bunch of sand, so you're saying?
it'll clear out the south end of the river, help establish the flow of the river. And I mean, we're clearing out the north end with this restoration project. So clearing out the south end will just supplement our efforts. So that sand will be dredged and put back on the beach. So it's good for the whole system.
Well, I'm sorry, go ahead. I just wanted to ask you about the Matanzas project in general. It looks like we're being asked for almost $200,000 more. Where do we stand? Are we going to meet our deadline for the end of March? And just an idea here, we're right now, say in this last 30 days, was the dredge supposed to be dredging? Because I have yet to find anybody see the dredge running. I'm not there every day, I'm just saying, where is the dredge supposed to be now and for the last month?
The dredge has been operational. They have been making very good progress. They are on track.
They have been making good progress?
Yes.
So where are they supposed to be dredging in the last month? The inlet there or in the river?
Not only in the Summerhaven River.
They're only in the river, okay. So
Right.
are we done with everything we're going to do to keep the inlet open there, or
We are not doing anything with Matanzas Inlet.
I'm sorry?
We're not doing anything with the inlet.
Okay, so that's
Listen-
all fine.
not really
Actually,
This is a whole separate project.
That's not us. We are just concerned about the Summerhaven River.
right, Fine works with the Intracoastal Waterway.
Okay.
We are only working in the Summerhaven River. Nobody does anything with Matanzas Inlet.
And that Summerhaven River is mud puddling up, and they can't use it, basically. It's not navigable.
Right, we were almost done with this project before Hurricane Irma, and then Hurricane Irma pushed 130,000 cubic yards of sand back into the river. So now we're trying to dig out everything that Irma pushed back in there to reestablish the flow of the Summerhaven River.
So it looks like they are going to meet their end of March deadline?
It's not a hard and fast deadline that anyone has opposed on them, but they are on track to meet that deadline. If they don't meet that deadline, then some turtle monitoring and shorebird monitoring kicks in, which it's an additional expense that they would assume responsibility for. But yes, they are on track for finishing up at the end of March.
And that's the north end of the river, then, I presume?
Right, it's east of the bridge, the A1A bridge that goes over the Summerhaven River.
And how do we monitor that? Does somebody go down there every few days? How are we monitoring their progress?
Taylor Engineering goes down there weekly to take a look at things.
And they measure exactly what's been, and how do they know just looking at things? Do they measure the depth, or what are they doing? Just out of curiosity, how do they, what's the oversight on it?
At the end of the project, the contractor will conduct an as-built survey, and then Taylor Engineering will review that survey to make sure that they've hit the dredge steps, haven't gone deeper than the allowable dredge steps, throughout the authorized dredging area.
And
So,
that only accrued, okay. When's the project supposed to end?
End of March is our target.
That is the end of it, okay.
Right.
Okay.
All right, let's get back on track, what we were talking about with regard to piggybacking with letting these, the county piggyback on our permit, modifying the permit, right?
That's correct.
I see it as a win-win situation. You got nothing to lose and everything to gain. You agree?
I agree. I don't see a downside.
I'd make a motion that we modify the permit.
Can I just have a point of clarification? If we modify the permit, we will be responsible for overseeing that bit of the project as well?
That's a good question. The answer is no. Just the Port District having the permit will allow the county to piggyback on that permit.
Right.
So the county would be responsible for complying with all permit conditions. You would be totally out of the picture.
And you mentioned they would assume liability for any deviation from that permit as well, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, if you're not conducting the construction activities, then you are not responsible. But, a local county government can piggyback on another state agency's permit.
Okay.
So that, and also, just you having the permit, if the county decided to go after their own DEP and Department of the Environment permits, just you having that permit would make their process much easier as well.
Right.
Okay, so we have a motion, and we're looking for a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Passed, okay. Do we need to, Jim, do we need to write anything up on that?
On the...
The modification?
Modification?
Yeah.
I'll just put it in the minutes.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Okay, anything else, engineering?
Bacon Marine Construction will be in Salt Run next week, replacing channel marker number 6.
Okay, will they do the sign also? I know it's extra. Will they be able to do the sign also that goes on it? I think their bid didn't include a sign.
Was there a slow speed sign or resume normal?
I'm not sure which one it was, yeah.
Should be the marker number.
Yeah, it was a marker number, that's right, it was a marker, it's not.
Yeah, I saw the picture of the down piling, and it only had the number 6 marker, right? So, I mean, they will be installing a new piling with our new number 6 marker
Okay,
signs.
that's fine, okay.
So that's not been done yet?
No.
No, it's not. I'm still awaiting receipt of the actual signs. I do have Bacon Marine under contract, under subcontract to Taylor Engineering to do it.
Could you tell me who that is again? Because are they still charging us $6,500 for that? Because
Yes.
we haven't voted on that expenditure yet, but I'd really like to know, based on what Mr. Yelton used to charge us to do things, what's the name of those people charging us that much money?
Okay, first I want to say we've contacted 5
Right,
companies. They're the only one that responded and said that they can do it.
right.
But Bacon Marine Construction, they are out of St. Augustine.
It's called Beta?
Bacon, B-A-C-O-N. Jim Bacon is the man I've talked to there.
And you say they're subcontracting under Taylor Engineering?
That's correct.
Okay.
Jim, do we need a motion to do that, or we can just go ahead and do that, can't we?
Go ahead and
A motion on it?
somebody make a motion in a second and have a vote.
Okay, I make a motion that we have Bacon Construction go ahead and replace the marker and the sign, number 6 that's down in Salt Run, I believe it was. All in favor?
What, is there
Or
a second?
second, I need a second.
A second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. All right. Anything else?
That's it.
Engineering, okay. Under old business, Commissioner Flowers was looking into a dredge.
Yes, all I have to report today is I'm researching my brains out. I'm looking at it in a component aspects as well, as opposed to just buying one thing, you can actually do this in different components where a dredge can have a hopper pulled up and things like this. I'm working with a broker, looking into insurance, leasing the equipment once we own it, everything else, and I'm just not done yet. I don't have enough, accurately together to put a presentation up for you, but I'm hoping by next meeting we will.
Okay.
And but I can tell you one thing, it's kind of like buying a big fancy yacht. The price they're asking is never the real price, so that's good.
All right. Okay. New business. Tom Rivers, why don't you make this presentation that we have for one of our former commissioners? Commissioner Dixon? Commissioner Jerry Dixon, please come forward. Well, you know, it's like you being a Marine, always a Marine, right? Let's see. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, right where you are. Yes, sir.
Jerry,
It's good to see you.
where's Peaches?
She's back there.
Okay.
That's all right. You can say.
Jerry, you know, this is in honor of you having been on the board for 20 years, and I worked for most of those years with you. And I can honestly say you were probably one of the most knowledgeable, probably still are, one of the most knowledgeable, members of this commission that we've ever had. And I really enjoyed working with you now. I'm going to present you this. It's hereby recognized. Gerald Dixon is recognized for his service, dedication, and contributions to the district during his tenure as commissioner and chairman of the district from 1998 to 2018, and in honor thereof presents this remembrance and sets its hand and seal at St. Augustine Beach, St. Augustine, Florida, this 18th day of December 2018. So this is really done a couple months later, but you understand. And it was presented by Barry Benjamin, chairman, Elise Kemper, secretary, Tom Rivers, Chris Way, Matt Brown, and Sandy Flowers, commissioners. Jerry, thank you for your service. We really do appreciate it.
I enjoyed working with you.
Keep in touch.
And so forth.
Don't go away.
Don't go away? Oh.
So, on behalf of the Friends of the Summerhaven River and your hard work and dedication on our project, I'd like to present you with this painting done by Jeannie Fitzpatrick. It's signed and numbered, and it's the Hutton Lodge at Summerhaven and featured in the Houses of St. Augustine book.
Wow.
Historical Homes
Well,
of St.
thank you.
Augustine.
I will say, when you came before our board, how many years ago was that?
10, almost 11.
But you put together that CD. That was incredible, because I didn't really know the history of Summerhaven. You got on board with that, and so did our board. So
Yeah.
it's been an
We appreciate
interesting
it.
government-private sector relationship.
It has.
And when the county bailed out, we still stuck with it,
You did.
and it's there.
Yeah, well, we just appreciate all you've done. We know you
Appreciate
put in a lot of hours and attended a lot of meetings that you didn't have to, so
Sure.
we do appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Well, we're moving right along. Government representative comments.
Let me take Steve Zukowski's place. Jim Piggott, City of St. Augustine. I just have a few updates for you. Two regarding two vessels that one's derelict, one is not yet derelict, and about dredging, our dredging update. On about January 25th, there was a vessel that was floating down the San Sebastian River into the marsh in the area by the turn, and we got a call, so we called CETO. It was a hazard to navigation. CETO grabbed the vessel and they brought it to St. Augustine Marine Dock, where it sits. Previously, we've had, our police force, and also I think FWC maybe had, know who the owner is. We have the FL number, we got an address, but it's been sitting there since January 25th. We believe that the owner is disowning the vessel, if you will. So right now, it's kind of like a civil action because it's on a civilian dock. But with that said, St. Augustine Marine's been really good to the port, good to the farm, good to the city for helping us hold boats, remove boats, and move the boats to where we break them up eventually to bring them to the dump. So I just gave Sergeant Underwood the address. He's going to go knock on the door sometime this week and hopefully put some pressure on him to come and get the boat off the dock and pay for the dockage since January 25th. If that doesn't work, option number 2 possibly would be, okay, no longer want the boat, you can't pay for anything that you have. Option number 2 may be sign the title over to the city so we can have the boat pulled and destroyed. That'd be option number 2. So we're going to pursue that, see what happens. So that would be additional derelict vessel money. Right now, we can't placard it derelict for another. We can placard it derelict, but we would have to sit on the private dock for 90 days, which will eat up more and more money for dockage living there or sitting there. So that's that one boat. Another sunk vessel, which is currently on the west side of Intercoastal Marine. Their docks were damaged during Irma, I believe Matthew too, but mostly Irma. There's a boat there. It's on city property. It's been there for a while, since at least the storm. I think Sergeant Underwood can talk more about that if you ask him. But it's law enforcement's understanding, or belief, I should say, that that boat may have been on the dock and may have been let go of the dock and sunk right where it is on city property.
Well, it's so submerged, not in the marsh, it's sunken?
It's between the west side of the dock and the marsh. So it's kind of like on the edge of the marsh.
But it's down.
It's down. So before I'm not sure if that's been declared derelict yet, because I think it's still under investigation, if you will, on who's responsible for that vessel. If it's a derelict vessel, then we'll be coming back for you for additional funds to move that vessel from there. And then the last thing is dredging. As you know, we are in the process of getting a dredger under contract for dredging of Salt Run. We've had a dredger under contract, Branch Diversified, for the last 5 years, I believe it is. It was time to rebid it. We rebid it. We opened the bid, and his bid came in a little more than double what it was. We were paying $33 cubic yard. We're now up close to $66 a cubic yard.
And whose bid was that, did you say?
We put it out. City put it out.
Oh, the city put it out.
Yeah. We had several people look at the bids and only one bid on it. And after some investigation, and we're continuing investigating, we have not signed a contract yet. The reason for the bid being so high is it's a DEP change in leadership at the top, if you will, since the last time we dredged, where the material from the bottom now, because of the salinity in the material, can no longer be placed in a spot where the contractor was putting it, and now has to go up to Georgia to a Class 1 landfill.
The stuff that comes off the bottom of Salt Run has to go to Georgia?
That's what DEP is telling us. We don't believe that's the case. I mean, I don't want to get into all the details. We believe it's because of another dredging project, and people in DEP are misreading what the guidance actually was or is. But this is not just going to affect us, it's going to affect a lot of dredging projects in the state with this new change to the guidance given.
That'd be everywhere in the city, within the limits, if we start taking stuff off the
I don't
bottom?
want to lie to you, I don't have all, we're still trying to gather the information. We about fell off our chair when we found out it was
Is this what's doubling the price?
$66 a square cubic yard and 33.
And that's what's doubling, the price is doubling because of the, okay.
Yeah, the mobility charge went up a little bit, expected, since it's been 6 years since we bid it out. So.
And it had previously been put out at like Sims Pit or something? Or?
Well, we leave that up to the contractor, because we don't want any we don't want to touch that.
Right.
In our contract, we say that the contractor needs to dispose of the material in a DEP-approved disposal site location. So that's on the contractor.
Okay.
So right now, they're having to, if they get the job, which we haven't signed a contract yet, take all the way up to Georgia to a Class 1 landfill.
Is that the state DEP? Or is that federal telling us about it?
It's state.
It's state.
This is a North Florida chief honcho who's new, so. That's all the good news I have for y'all.
Would you tell us what you know about this awesome study that the Corps of Engineer is supposed to be doing on our inlet, or I guess our whole area, or when it starts, or anything you might know about that?
I really don't know much about it. That's with our mayor and also our Public Works Department.
Okay.
So I'm kind of out of that loop, if you would. Unless you have any questions?
Thanks, Jim.
Oh, Mr. Piggott, one last thing. That boat they took over to St. Augustine Marine Center, is that old houseboat?
No, ma'am, it's a 24-foot hunter sailboat.
Oh, okay. It was, never mind, I know which one you're talking about.
Okay.
Josh Underwood, the Sheriff's Office Marine Unit. The houseboat you're talking about is still there. The Marine Center is filing a lien for title.
So he
to
never
own
did
it.
come back?
No, it never came back. So they're in the court process now.
It's really nice for the Marine Center to let us even put them on their dock, because most people wouldn't, so that's nice.
Right. So our stats from last port meeting to today, 121 hours on the water, 56 calls for service, 25 vessel safety inspections, 19 warnings were issued, 4 citations, and the derelict that I talked about last port meeting, the 48-foot concrete sailboat that sunk by Mr. Patel's dock there in the intercoastal. I got some photos I'll pass around. That is in the court process now. We went to court last week for it, and the owner of that boat requested a jury trial, so he's trying to battle that. So we're kind of in a holding pattern. But I just wanted to give you guys an update on the boat. That's its current position and how it sits in the waterway.
So when we get through whatever the trial is, then the county will be able to, or the port could go and take it up?
Yes, ma'am. And I'm trying to get the court to order him to pay to remove it.
I've never seen anybody request a jury trial for that, but...
For derelict boat. He doesn't want to pay it. I'm thinking that's why he's... Oh, so I did get an estimate because I needed it for court, and it's $25,000 for the removal. That's just to lift the boat, put it on a barge, and move it. That's not to have it hauled out and destroyed.
Not to do anything with it, so we still have to do...
So it's solid concrete, and that's why it costs so much to remove it.
Just out of curiosity, when they, for things like that, does the county go back and do any kind of lien or anything against the owner when they refuse to act, or just have to bite the bullet?
Once it goes through the court process, it's really up to the judge on how he wants to order it to be taken care of.
Okay.
Now, it will go to the state of Florida, and they will make it where he's not going to be able to register a boat.
Okay, so
And I
there is
did request that with the state attorney's office, that he won't be able to register a boat again if he's convicted.
So that'll be sitting out there, so he can't do it again at least?
Correct.
Okay.
But the current owner does own 3 other boats. One of them is a derelict that the port has already paid to remove. So,
Is it Gatsing or Bonnie Chance?
no, it's not.
Oh, just checking.
Close. Back to, we had 1 arrest on a shrimp boat for a felony warrant. We had 14 marine sanitation device inspections that were all good to go, no violations. That's all I had, unless you got any questions for me.
You mentioned 4 citations. What were they? I mean, what's an example?
Example for a citation would be no life jacket for a child, or it could have been a wake zone violation. If you guys noticed, if you've been in the waterway, all the wake zones are reposted, so they all have the correct buoys now. They're floating. It's actually getting people's attention out the bridge lines on the south side, because when the buoys weren't there, Nobody realized that that zone is actually 775 feet from the bridge on the south side because of the fuel. So that is a big attention getter now. They also put signs on the bridge fenders. So if they're not seeing the buoys, they're seeing them on the bridges. Now the bridges did change from idle speed zone to slow speed. So, and that the state did that because of the current,
Okay.
because of that current that rips through the bridges. But that would be an example of
Okay,
the
thanks.
citations. And they could have been like no nav lights or something like that.
Okay.
I'm not sure if you're the correct person to ask, but everybody that lives on Hospital Creek wants to know why they can't have a no-wake zone. What should I tell them?
That'd be an FWC question.
Okay, FW.
But I'm pretty sure they have to petition the state of Florida, and there has to be some type of reasoning why they need a no-wake zone. Yeah, they could
Has to
do,
be manatee
they could look at like a manatee zone. But all they would have to do is contact FWC, the Boating and Waterways Division at Tallahassee.
There's a procedure.
And they would, there'd be a procedure where they'd have to petition for it. They'd research, why they would need the zone, and then they would do a study, basically. That's it.
Thanks, Charles.
No problem.
Anybody else? Hey,
Sydney Lindblad, St. Johns County Beaches and Parks and Recreation. We just wanted to have a few things to update you on. On March 5th, we are going before the Board of County Commissioners to get their support in our waterway access management program that we are creating. And the mission of this program is to meet the growing and diverse maritime needs of St. Johns County residents and visitors. With proactive maintenance, facility improvements, and expansions, this program will strive to enhance opportunities for motorized and non-motorized vehicles to access both the salt and fresh water. This program came out of the boat ramp survey that we went through and the community outreach meetings, and just trying to make it more transparent and have specific budget lines for this program with our maintenance costs and grant opportunities. It's going to work with both local and state agencies, including this commission and the Find and Tourist Development Council and local stakeholders. It will be funded through the general fund, the tourist development allocations, and grant opportunities as well. We've also been meeting with our Find Commissioner Carl, and the grant applications that we're going to be submitting this year are for the Palmetto Design, Dredging, and Renovation, Palm Valley East Design and Renovation, as well as Palm Valley West Design and Construction, and then a Riverdale Land Acquisition Reimbursement. And then the only other update for the beaches, we do start our toll program on March 1st, and we do have 7 out of the 9 ramps open for vehicular access.
How's it going with the boat landing process? New boat landings, or also the possibility of charging a fee to use the boat landing?
Sure. So we are going through a feasibility study right now, and so that consultant is out there working on that, which would come back with renovation opportunities or expansions. And then the off-beach, off-beach and boat ramp fee, it's currently going to RFP. So once those come back, then the board would decide if they would like to go with a consultant or just not go with a fee at all.
thank you. Anybody else? Carl?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Carl Blow, Florida Inland Navigation District 100, Santa Monica Avenue, St. Augustine. Just wanted to update you. I think the last time I was here, I had told you about 2 projects that Find and the Corps was planning to do in the Intercoastal Waterway, one here at St. Augustine Inlet, and the other one was down at Matanzas Inlet. At the time, those 2 projects together were around $5 to $6 million, and approximately half that money was federal money that was set aside for hurricane damage, and the balance was going to be coming from Find, which is your tax dollars collected in the district. What's happened is there's been some changes in Washington, D.C., and the federal government has decided to revisit the allocation of those particular federal dollars and perhaps reallocate them to another use.
You mean the hurricane dollars you were just talking about?
That's correct. And because they're all part of the Department of Defense budget overall. So what's happened is we got with the Corps, our partner, and decided to postpone the project here at the ICW and the St. Augustine Inlet. It needs to be done, but it's not critical. However, the Matanzas, Summer Haven area, that section of the Intercoastal Waterway is to the point where it's a safety hazard down there. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that $2.5 million that Fine is contributing and spend it down there to do that project, which was about it's about 150,000 cubic yards, and it will go on the Summer Haven beach.
That's from the inlet at Matanzas.
Well, it's from the Intercoastal Waterway.
Okay.
As I said earlier, there is no activity in the Matanzas Inlet at all.
Even from Fine, then Fine does not do it.
Anybody. There's no dredging ever going on. I mean, I shouldn't say ever, but there's never been, that's never been entertained to.
So it just does its natural thing, and you guys we're just trying to keep Summer Haven
Yeah.
and the Intercoastal
Well, the
connected.
Summer Haven folks, 11 years ago, started the effort to restore the river from that initial breach. And so that's the project the port and the Summer Haven folks have been working on. And Fine, our goal is to maintain the Intercoastal Waterway, and we just happen to put our sand on the beach there. So there's no plans at this point to do
Going on at the
anything in
inlet.
the inlet area itself. So, but anyway, that's what's going on. The good news is we will, there will be this summer, probably starting about June, a project down there in the Matanzas Summer Haven area, putting that 150,000 cubic yards on the beach. So the other thing I had is the Commissioner Waldron, Paul Waldron, is St. Johns County Commissioner that. And unfortunately, Commissioner Waldron is a boater and a fisherman, and he is sort of taken it under his wing to work the artificial reef program. And fortunately, he is also represents the county on the Tourist Development Council. And in the past, and for you new board members in the past, we've done, I think, 2 reef placements using funds, your funds, and funds from the TDC. So what the plan is right now is Commissioner Waldron, since I worked with Will Smith in the past on that stuff, he asked me to pull together some information to present to the TDC, which we've done in the past in order to get funding from them. So I believe it will be the March meeting that that issue will be discussed. And I just wanted to confirm, I believe there's $25,000 in the budget for reefs from the Port District. Just wanted to confirm that.
That's right.
Okay. So what we'll be doing is obviously, the last time I believe we got $50,000 or $60,000 from TDC and matched that with the port funding, and we were able to get about 1,500 to 2,000 tons dropped at Andy King. So that's kind of the plan right now. I got you a handout because I can't come here without giving you a handout. So this is just this was actually in the Times-Union back in 2012, but let me go ahead and hand this out real quick, and I'll tell you what it is. Let's see.
Thank you.
Actually, can you all share that? Sure. I'm just going to pass this around.
Carl, can you just build a reef at the end of the jetty?
No. What you're looking at here, this was in the Florida Times-Union. It was an article back in 2012, and I thought it was really interesting because what they did is based on an economic study, they looked at these Baker, Nassau, Duval, St. Johns, and Clay County in northeast Florida to determine how much fishing activity was going on in those counties and what kind of economic impact that activity was. So what they found was that the recreational fishing in those counties had a $398 million impact. That's for saltwater alone, and then the freshwater impact was $158 million. And the overall fishing, both saltwater and freshwater, represented 5,340 direct jobs that were associated with fishing, recreational fishing. And that was split between freshwater and saltwater. Freshwater jobs were 1,488, and then saltwater jobs were 3,816. And these numbers are from 2012. What I found really interesting about this graphic is if you look at just the saltwater fishing impact, the $398 million and the 3,816 saltwater jobs, there's not a lot of saltwater fishing in Baker and Clay County, so you have to kind of look at Nassau, Duval, and St. Johns County, and even when you look at those three counties and you look at what goes on around here, I would suspect that a large portion of that $398 million is spent here in St. Johns County, and that a bunch of those jobs are here in St. Johns County. So anyway, I thought I'd just pass this on. What I'm doing now is trying to update these economic numbers for the TDC. But I really doubt that these numbers have gone down since 2012. My guess is they've gone up.
There was an article in the Record just a few days ago about the increasing value of the fishing industry, yeah.
I should read the Record every day because I missed it. It was last week?
Yeah, in the last few days.
Yeah, in the last few days, just last few days.
I'm embarrassed because I missed that.
No, it speaks exactly to this chart.
It is?
Except for better,
Better numbers,
it should
right?
be better, yeah.
Good. Well, thank you for letting me know about that because I'll get my hands on that. But anyway, that's all I had. Hopefully TDC will see that, they've funded reefs in the past. Hopefully they'll fund reefs this year. And the way it works is if that funding's secured, then St. Johns County, and actually through the Recreation Department, and we'll put a bid out on the street for that deployment. In the past, all our deployments, as far as most of them have been done by MD Moody, actually Max Moody, Del Marine, and they've always done a good job.
They take the concrete out?
Yeah, actually, this has been going on for a number of years ago. Working with Will Smith, we secured several bridges. Actually, the two bridges that were replaced down there in Summer Haven by the DOT. The old bridges that were given, actually the contractor needed to get rid of the concrete, so he gave it to the county and hauled it up to some land that the airport owns. And fortunately, the airport's been very cooperative in allowing the county to store that material on property they have down there at the end of Racetrack Road. Without the airport's cooperation, we wouldn't have a reef program because what the challenge of building artificial reefs is, one, finding the concrete material, and then finding a place you can store it until such time that you can, put a project out to bid and get a contractor to take it offshore. Because one thing that's happened in the last couple of years is it's gotten to be economically smart to recycle that type of material. So people are, instead of running around trying to get rid of it, they just call a recycle guy a crusher. He crushes it, salvages the steel, and sells the aggregate. So it's getting more difficult to get good quality reef material, but we've got Actually, we also got the US 1 bridge there at King Street when they replaced that. So we probably had 12,000 tons stored out at the airport property. And a typical reef deployment's about 1,500 to 2,000 tons. So it's really the goal is to try to keep this program going to get all that material offshore before the airport needs to land or something happens that we lose it. So that's what's going on with the reefs. Questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, Carl. Anybody else? Nope. Okay. Public comment? Come on up, Linda.
Do you want me to sign in? Linda Ginn, Friends of the Summerhaven River, 9051 Gene Johnson Road. I have a couple of things. First of all, thank you for voting to do the south end, to allow the county to modify the permit. Just for the benefit of the new commissioners, when we started on this journey about 11 years ago and got the permit to restore the river, that 30%, 25 to 30% at the south end was not included because there was no problem down there for the river. So that's why that was not included. We did do emergency work down there during Matthew. We put in a geotube and did some other work. So we have, out of the money that we have for the grant, used some of that money in the south end, but having the county come in and do it to restore their road and so forth is a big benefit. So we appreciate you voting for that. Let's see. The second thing is, I wanted to address a comment you had made about Matanzas Inlet. And the studies that have been done show that if we open the Summerhaven River, it's going to improve the flow of water through Matanzas Inlet. That river has been there for thousands of years and emptied the water out of Pellisier Creek. If you push the map together before the intercoastal waterway was dug in the 30s, you can see that the main artery from Pellisier Creek runs right down the Summerhaven River and out into the ocean through Matanzas Inlet.
Historically, it would have been deep there.
Historically.
Right.
And then that brought fresh salt water back in the Summerhaven River and into Pellisier Creek. So anyhow, the studies that have been done show that if you open the river, it's going to have an effect on the inlet, just like when the river closed. It had an enormous effect on Matanzas Inlet.
Have you been able to notice that yet?
Oh, yes.
So you can see some changes in the inlet already because of the current is back.
And not only that, but the environmental impact. We're seeing birds that we haven't seen in a long time. We've seen a lot of fish that we haven't seen in the whole time the river. And this is, we've heard this from the fishermen who fish the area, who we trust. But Whitney Lab has also done multiple studies. Taylor's Engineering has done some studies on the effect of the river on the inlet. And everyone believes that if we can get that river open and flowing, it's going to make a difference. So I just wanted to...
Getting close, right?
Yes, thank God we're close. Okay, and finally, we worked with the National Park Service Rivers and Trails Division to have these panels made that tell the story of and history of the river and the environmental benefits and so forth. And we're going to have them placed in a kiosk and put at the public park at Summerhaven, we hope. So if you get a chance, be sure and look at them because it does kind of tell the story of what happened.
They look great.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public? Nope.
Chairman, I have one more item.
Sure.
Real quick.
Yes, go
I have
ahead.
here a 66-page grant agreement from FEMA for the post-Irma emergency work that the Port District did, or that Turnbull did. Lisa and I had a teleconference with FEMA, and I'm going to hand this over to Jim pending Jim's review, I just want your approval to go ahead and sign this and send that in to FEMA to obtain the reimbursement.
Okay.
Amounts to, can I just see this amount right here? $92,799.73.
Now, typically, these are contracts that we can't change. There's nothing in here we can really change or argue about. And it's $92,000. And I would advise you go ahead and approve it, and then I'll read it. If there's something,
What is it for?
This, right after Irma, this is the work that FEMA approved, in the first 30 days after Irma. So this money would go straight back into the construction budget for the summer.
So that's
for the
FEMA money
restoration
coming
project.
back to us?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
I think it's okay pending review. And we would ask that you go ahead and approve it, and then if I find something in it that I think is objectionable, I'll bring it back next month.
Okay. Do we need a motion for that?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion that we approve the FEMA letter. It's a letter, right? 66 page?
It's a federally funded sub-award and grant agreement.
That, the sub-agreement, federally funded, pending our council's review of it.
Yeah, that's $92,799.
$92,799. Okay.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Just a quick, I'm sorry, we're voting just to take the money from FEMA?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
sure.
Okay. So that's an aye, right? Okay,
Make sure.
okay. All right. Comments by commissioners. Commissioner Rivers?
No.
Nothing today? Commissioner Brown?
Well, just to Sandy's question earlier, the city has asked the Corps of Engineers to conduct a study on the inlet to figure out what the future of the inlet is in terms of, preservation of navigability, but also environmental impact, possible storm surge mitigation. That's something that we'll need to be involved in at some point, but that we are not involved in currently. I think it would behoove us to liaise with, it sounds like the Public Works Department would be the folks to get in touch with.
I could ask them to come to the next meeting.
Yeah, that'd be great, and possibly also get in touch with someone at the Corps of Engineers. I'd be happy to do that. Carl, maybe I could ask you to...
Email.
Sure. Yeah, I'll maybe talk to you after the meeting, but just want to put that out there,
I think it's a good idea.
that we
Yeah.
should...
Yeah, could we get somebody to come talk to us about it?
Well, yeah, it sounds like
Okay.
Jim's going to have somebody from Public Works come talk to us.
I think it's a good idea.
I just have a couple questions. One was, Mr. Rivers, have you heard back from, was it Cindy Stevens you sent the letter to regarding annexing St. Johns County into the port?
No.
Okay, haven't heard from them. Mr. Piggott, just very quickly, do you know anything about the Mud Puddle Marina up there behind the ice house? Or any, it's just no sign or word of them opening or doing anything? No, behind the ice house is that marina that got built and it just silted up. So we call it the Mud Puddle Marina. So it's a brand new marina with a big circular bay there. You know, it's been a while, they built it, and I was just wondering if they're ever going to open that.
Looking for a buyer. The property's been for sale, as far as I know.
Okay.
So that's in the banks, and
Oh, so they just left it, so I mean, it's up for, okay.
I can tell you everything you want to know.
Oh, when are they going to open? We really need the slips.
No, I mean, offline, I don't know if you want to hear it all.
Okay. So the answer is no time soon, it doesn't sound like. Okay. Oh, the one last question I had was, on the money we have set aside for maps, is this for the aerial maps that we used to have a fold-out?
Yes, that's it, yeah.
Oh, boy, it would sure be nice to have one of those. You would not believe how many cruisers, once they're here, they use that to get to the public, the local channels, when do you think?
Not for navigation.
No, and it never was. And, I mean, it does have some advertising on it, which is nice for like the restaurants and and I think the next one could probably be a lot more advertising, but is there any idea when or who we might look into doing that for us?
Secretary?
Well, you're looking at me. It was originally Commissioner Dixon, and then he was going to go on with it because he was able to fly, he had a plane.
Right.
So we have to start pretty much from scratch to
Okay.
get, you can't I don't think the same people that did it before, we can And they were out of Gainesville. So
Okay.
we're going to have to do some research on how to,
I had a fellow come in, now this has been a year, maybe a year and a half. Now, he was out of Puerto Rico, but he was visiting, and that's what he did for the government, was mapping and stuff, and now he's retired. And he came in just as a, threw me out, about 19,000. Now, again, I saw something where we're supposed, the only thing is, I think we have to hire people from the state,
Not necessarily,
if that would limit us.
no.
But I thought, wow, the price was,
we had thousands of them.
Yeah.
We paid a lot of money. I
Yeah.
mean. it
well, I
was
can
a
only
lot.
imagine how expensive that is.
Almost double that, yeah.
I worked with Jerry on that. The port hired Sea Grant out of the University of
Yeah.
Florida to do that project because they had done the same thing in several other areas around the state. The problem we had with it was with the people, they recommended a certain printer and
A certain,
a particular printer to actually
Printer,
print it.
yeah.
In other words, Sea Grant put the information together, and then they recommended a certain printer to use. And I'm trying to, and this has been a long time, but I got somehow working with the printer, and I wouldn't recommend going back to that printer. One thing about it that made it so expensive was the paper that the chart was printed on was water resistant.
It was nice,
And,
yeah, it's fancy.
and that made it very expensive. So but I think,
I have a few left in my,
Yeah,
I mean, very few.
I've got a few left too. Probably the place to start would be with the Sea Grant folks. The guy that ran the program down there, I think, may have retired, but Florida Sea Grant, University of Florida Sea Grant program, they were the folks that put the information together, came up here, developed the list of vendors to put on the chart, and so I imagine they still do that type of work. But you could get a proposal from them, and then have a separate proposal for the actual printing, and then decide whether you could pay them to put it together, and then have someone else print it, perhaps. But anyway, that's my recollection of it.
what does the board think if I throw that on my project list and try to bring some numbers back?
Excellent idea.
Okay,
Yep.
that's all, thank
Yeah.
you.
That's all? Okay. Well, okay, and now we're up to the next meeting. March 19th will be the next meeting. If there's nothing else, then we're adjourned. Okay.
Well, we got these invitations. I looked up, I didn't know who that man was.